one final question. If, this is a big if there is proven to be criminal activity through an investigation, would you have any problem redirecting the $500 million or the $60 million of the 20% that's not Medicaid? Would you have any problem redirecting that to other women's health care organizations who are offering genuine health care?
Well, I'm not going to answer to a hypothetical. And again, we follow all the laws at Planned Parenthood. The health and safety of our patients is our #1 concern. If there is any issue ever, the state or local, national level, we will address it, and we do so swiftly, and we always have.
Thank you, Ms. Richards. I yield back.
Thank you. Now I'll recognize the gentlewoman from the Virgin Islands, Ms. Plaskett, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Ranking Member Mr. Cummings. Thank you, Ms. Richards, for being here for the inordinate amount of time that you have. And I reiterate so much of what my colleagues here on this side of the aisle have said regarding this hearing and some of the concerns. You and your office know that I vocalized to you privately the fact that I'm displeased that Planned Parenthood is not present in my own district in the Virgin Islands or in any of the territories which have approximately 4 million people. And the reason I'm displeased about that is because I know the good work that Planned Parenthood does in preventative health for its women, with the Virgin Islands having 141 unplanned teen pregnancies per 1,000 when the national rate is 29 pregnancies per 1,000. I see how important the work that you guys do is to different areas. And, you know, the chairman has 7 clinics in his area in Utah. And, Mr. Chairman, we'd be glad to take any one of them in the Virgin Islands to be able to support women's health and the work that you do, knowing that 78% of those 7 clinics are in rural areas. And I know that this committee is searching for truth. And that's the purpose of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. And I believe that we need to do that in a neutral and even-handed manner that reflects the integrity of this committee, which is why I think that this is a premature committee hearing, if not the fact that the other side, the individual that the minority has requested to be here, Mr. Daliaden, is not here. And while I understand that Mr. Daliaden has had restrictions on the videos being produced, he has not produced one document that has been requested by this committee from either side. Ms. Richards, do you know how many documents, how many pages of documents Planned Parenthood has produced for this committee?
Will the gentlewoman yield?
No, not at this time, sir. Afterwards, I will leave you some time.
Well, I know thousands and thousands of pages of documents.
I think it's 20,000 pages. And I know that the ranking member Cummings has sent a request for documents, and the chairman, Chaffetz, and Representative Jordan have sent their own request for documents. And a subpoena was issued, and it has not. Not one page of documents. Although I understand that from the testimony that the videos were, in fact, there was a question regarding that. And so, Ms. Richards, I want to ask you some questions since we only have Planned Parenthood here, and we only have your documents that we're able to put up and put up on screens and for you to be questioned about, not the other side, which as an attorney is a little problematic for me to be able to get to the truth if I don't see both sides of the evidence being presented to me. I understand that there are several states that have launched investigations against Planned Parenthood. Is that correct?
Well, there have been a variety of, I mean, we're constantly being overseeing our healthcare services. And yes, I think as a result of this recent campaign, there have been various state
And I understand that several of those states have cleared Planned Parenthood of any wrongdoing.
That's correct. That's correct.
And that there has not been produced any credible evidence that your organization has broken a single law. Is that correct?
I believe that's true.
And however, there's plenty of evidence that Mr. Daliaden and his associates have violated both federal and state laws. One example is his group obtaining tax-exempt status and apparently solicited charitable contributions under false pretense. Ms. Richards, are you aware that the Center for Medical Progress obtained a 501c3 status, as I quote, a biomedicine or bioengineering organization?
Well, all I know is what I've read in the paper about the organization.
and that, in fact, is a fake organization that filed official paperwork with the state of California to create a sham tissue procurement company called Biomax Procurement Services, LLC. Ms. Richards, as far as I know, illegally filing false paperwork with a state agency it's illegal and against the law, right?
It may be. I don't know. And I know there's a lawsuit now pending, and I think the Attorney General of California has indicated that there will be an investigation.
And so for me, for us to have this discussion with you without having the balance of the other side becomes problematic. Mr. Chairman, did you want to say something at this point?
Yes, I thank the gentlewoman for yielding that she made a suggestion that Mr. Deladian had not been responsive to our inquiries. That's not true. We issued a subpoena, responded within the time. That package that arrived has not been opened. It's in our safe. He's unable to provide all of the documents given that there is a temporary restraining order. We understand that. House counsel's involved. Mr. Cummings and I evidently agree on this point that we're trying to get all of that information. But to suggest that he was non-responsive is simply not true because he did respond within the time allocated under the subpoena.
Well, it's my position, Mr. Chairman, that until you're able to open all of those documents and receive all of them, and we're able to balance them against the documents, the 20,000 pages of documents produced by Planned Parenthood, that this is an unfair hearing and that we're not getting a balance and able to do that.
I agree that we need all the information. That's why Mr. Deladian was not invited to this hearing. The subject is exactly what I said in my opening comments and statements, of which many members have inquired about. It's the funding component. We did not title this hearing as a hearing on the videos. It caused some controversy, but we have, in the essence of time, some legitimate discussion about a continuing resolution and ongoing funding for Planned Parenthood, and we've laid that out. But my comments were not about the video, it was about the funding. That's where my concern lies.
Mr.
And
Chairman,
we will get to hopefully see all of those videos, but we've got to get past the restraining order that has been put in place by a judge in California.
Mr. Chairman, if we're going to discuss funding and knowing that members of Congress can sit here and ask questions that run the gamut, and that funding question is related to those videos, which are the genesis of the question of whether to defund, then I think it's a little naive of us to think that that discussion can be done in a vacuum without the videos and the other documents from the other side. I think that my time is up.
Would the gentlelady yield with the, the chairman's indulgence? In fairness to the gentlelady, I'm looking at the memorandum from the majority, and it talks about background for this hearing. And the first sentence on the background says, recently released videos demonstrate Planned Parenthood Federation of America participates in transactions involving transferring fetal tissue for remuneration. And then it goes on. But let me just very briefly